this is what it is. Yes. Do not forget, however, that I am Focalors, the god of justice. The embodiment of justice itself.
May I interpret these words as your refusal to... In that case, you will have the opportunity to defend your honor through a duel.
You would draw your blade against a god? I see. It seems like you have made up your mind.
Paimon can't believe it.
What the heck is going on?
Wow, how utterly humiliating.
Lady Furina, what?
It would seem that there has been a misunderstanding.
Looking for excuses again.
I raised my hands just now to indicate my acceptance. I will admit that I'm sorry, everyone. I was unable to protect the people of Poisson. You are not the only ones to be disappointed in me. But now, it is time for the Hydro Archon. I, Furina, will use this trial to show the world that this time, I applaud and rejoice. One of the most outrageous and mark my words. This shall be one of the most exhilarating and brilliant shows ever to grace the stage of Fontaine!
Woohoo! Oh, now we're making... Why does it feel like Furina just took over the whole thing? Like, also, even though she's still acting super dramatic, she is
All right, then. Who will be my opponent in this?
The court asks the prosecutor to please take the stand.
Is that so? Very well. Then please speak, witness of Tivat. Also, please allow me to ask, just how much work did you do to...
Well, we did do a lot of prep after the meeting that day.
I can go over the tasks assigned to the Spina di Rosula, since they were rather straightforward and easy.
Navia, the president...
Most of the people who participated in the disturbance this morning were my subordinates. They changed into plain clothes and came to the Opera House as regular audience. The people's resentment against their Archon has been building as more and more of the Moreover, according to our understanding and analysis of you, when something like that occurred, you would likely flee the scene and head to Poisson by yourself. So, we arranged for a second group to lie in wait there.
So, you mean, the ones who scoured the settlement for me were also from the Spina?
And their goal was to force you to step into the giant magic box so you may personally participate in the greatest magic performance in all of Fontainian history.
That's right. That house was a magic box, rather than someone's residence.
As the super ultimate version of the setup that I used when I first performed, the volume of the box was increased by a whole order of magnitude, and the distance it traversed was the entire gap between Poisson and Aranias. It was an Archon instead of a human. My thanks, Furina. Without your help, we could never have pulled off such an extraordinary performance. Of course, this performance was only made possible with Father's support. The House of the Hearth spent a massive amount of labor and more. We had to select a location, construct the giant magic box, dig a tunnel, and open up a path through...
So, in other words, the earthquake that we felt within...
That's right. It wasn't a sign of another disaster to come.
Then, I can guess Nervilette and Cloran's parts. You gathered a crowd, prepared a stage and made sure that the champion duelist would be immediately ready for a fight. Also that as soon as I appeared on the stage, the—
Yes, that is correct.
Well, Clorand, I must commend you for your courage. Only the most outstanding champion duelist in all of Fontaine would
Thank you.
As for you, traveler, I suppose your role was to keep me distracted with conversation once you found me and you'd make sure that I didn't notice anything amiss before revealing yourself as my prosecutor once we'd arrived onto the Oh? Is that so? Then it's fine. It matters not. What's done is done. The stage is already set, so there's no reason to disappoint the audience. Let's see this trial through to the very end.
Madam Prosecutor, please allow me to pass this along. This is a document that Miss Charlotte applied for and received permission to share with you during the trial. According to her, it should speed up the proceedings.
Huh? Charlotte wanted to give us something? Oh, so she's here too! Hey, Charlotte! Oh, Leb Hymancy. Isn't this the exclusive interview that she did with us before? So she's already finished it, huh? Wait, then that means this document is a perfect timeline of everything that's happened ever since we stepped foot in Fontaine! So in other words, we can refer to this anthology of evidence every time we want to use— Let's quickly confirm the information in it. Just think of it as a refresher, alright?
You defeated the Hydro Archon in the very first duels you took part in at the Opera House. That's one for the history books, all right. I didn't think this is the a Fatui Harbinger. She... The fortress, according to Miss... I nearly lost. The words of someone as extraordinary as a witch can probably...
The prosecution and the defense are both in position. The trial shall now begin.
Oh, come on, Nervilette. There's no need to repeat all the unimportant legalese. Just fast forward to the part where the prosecution lays out my offenses. As the defendant and the lead actress of this performance, I still haven't even been informed of my supposed guilt in all of this. Of course, it is only natural for humans to struggle to understand the actions of a god. However, you will need more than that to convict me of a crime.
That's true, but my charge here is unrelated to your conduct as an Archon. Instead, I would like to charge you as a fraud who's never been the Archon in the first place.
Wait, what was that? Lady Furina's a fraud?
Hey, I came here thinking that we were going to try the Hydro Archon for forsaking her duty, but did I hear that right? She's not our Archon at all?
Charge accepted. Lady Furina, do you plead guilty to the charge? Lady Furina.
I plead not guilty. How can I be guilty? There is no way that I, Focalors, otherwise known as Furina de Fontaine, a member of the Seven and the Regina of all waters, kindreds, peoples, and laws of Fontaine, could be anything other than your true Archon.
Yeah. Even though Lady Furina can be rather eccentric, isn't it going too far to doubt her very identity?
Yeah, I've never questioned her identity either. Sure, Lady Furina can be super irresponsible, but what grounds does that prosecutor have to make such a huge claim?
I have cause to believe that common sense will prevail in this case. Many of the members of the audience have known me as the Hydro Archon ever since they were born. There would be no fooling their memory. See? Even the Oratrice has decided to show me its favor. Are you sure you want to commit to a charge that will never be upheld? If you wish to drop the case, I can promise you as the God of Justice that you will not have to face trial for making a false accusation. We will treat everything that's happened as a dramatic spectacle and move on with our lives. What do you say to that?
Huh. An argument with near impossible odds, huh? We have to not only refute Furina's claims, but also overturn the long-held beliefs of the people.
Well, I tried to give you the chance to surrender. If you must persist, then let me ask. If you believe I'm not the Archon, then what manner of being do you think I am? And if I was not the Archon, then how did I manage to live for over 500 years?
That doesn't sound right. Paimon doesn't think this... First of all, you may be a member of another long-lived race.
Who gave you that idea? Was it the knave?
A curse? I once thought it possible that the aura of an Archon might naturally resemble a type of curse. But in light of this claim, perhaps what I sensed was not your divinity, but a curse after all.
Narval sensed it too, huh?
Lady Furina is actually a human?
Well, it is true that it's extremely difficult to tell humans and gods apart just by looking at them. It's not impossible.
Well, don't start celebrating too early now. Even if I have been carrying a curse like you said, how does that prove that I am merely a human being? Besides, everyone knows that the main difference between a human and a god is the possession of authority. Gods can do what humans cannot. That's why they're worshipped as gods. For centuries, manifestations of my authority have served the nation of Fontaine. One need only to turn their eyes towards the Oratrice Mécanique d'Analyse Cardinal in this very opera house, or consider the endemnitium that is used in every aspect of life.
That doesn't sound right. Paimon doesn't think this clue can be used... You tried to reference the Oratrice. But weren't you as confused as all the rest of us when the Oratrice declared Child to be guilty without any proof? Otherwise, you should have come up with a good explanation for that by now.
Didn't I make myself clear at the time? The decisions of the gods are naturally difficult for humans to comprehend. There is no need to provide an explanation.
Lady Furina, I believe a reminder of your current circumstances is in order. While the court is in session, the principles of justice and the law must come before all else. While you are an Archon, you are also first and foremost the defendant in this trial. You will prove yourself unable to defend against the prosecution's charges if you continue to withhold vital information against the rules of the court.
I never thought you'd use that kind of rhetoric against me.
That was no trick of rhetoric, Lady Furina. I've merely reiterated the rules of the court. Rules that all should respect and follow.
So, you neither knew why Child was declared guilty, nor did you understand the structure and operations of the Oratrice. Instead of having been created by you, the manifestation demonstrations of authority you mentioned have been made by the real Hydro Archon, haven't they?
The real Hydro Archon? Well, now you're really losing me. It is true that I did not know why the Oratrice gave out a guilty verdict that day. But the Oratrice handed out that verdict unilaterally, and it has been operating independently ever since it was first created. You can't argue that just because a divine creation is flawed, that the god behind it must also be no god at all.
She's still throwing out all kinds of excuses. Seems like she's confident that we won't be able to produce proof that—
My power as an Archon. There are many ordinary citizens in the audience. How can I just carelessly demonstrate the formidable power of an Archon?
If that poses a concern, I'm prepared to extend my protection to the audience.
You don't need to go that far.
Aren't you the Hydro Archon? Or is it that you can't even wield the power of Hydro, much less the authority of a god?
Indemnitium! Yes! It's all because of Indemnitium! All Archons derive their power from the faith of the people, and I've converted the people's faith in justice into Indemnitium! Thus did I give up all of my divine power to provide everyone with energy for their daily lives. Have you ever seen a more magnanimous god?
Isn't that a huge stretch?
Yeah, no matter how generous an Archon can be, how could they give up all their power? Can a god with no power even still be called a god?
It seems like nobody's buying Furina's excuse.
Hey, come now, everyone. Please don't stare at me as if I was a liar. I'm still the same Furina you knew, right? The one that you loved. Shouldn't you want to believe in me? Please? You've got to believe me.
If what the prosecutor said is true, she really has committed a grave offense.
Did she deceive all of us? And all of our parents and grandparents too? And all of our ancestors? Ever since they were born?
Enough! That's enough. Tell me then, if I'm not the real Hydro Archon, then who is? If you have no evidence of another Hydro Archon's existence, nor can you find anyone who can back up their claim to be such, then what grounds have you to say that I'm not actually the real deal?
Wow. She can't even get another argument. How can we do it now? Seems like she really doesn't give up. That does... It has been established that all Fontainians can dissolve in water from the primordial sea. And that means...
Since you insist on claiming to be a god and not a human, then there's a method that you can use right here and now to eliminate all suspicions of you being the latter.
Miss Navia, please apply to serve as a temporary attorney for the prosecution before addressing the court. Though you act in partnership with the prosecutor, you must still adhere to proper procedure.
Super sorry, Monsieur Chief Justice. I swear this really will be the last time that I'll speak out of turn. Now, I've brought some seawater from Poisson. As everyone knows, a massive flood struck the area not long ago, taking many lives, including those of some of my closest friends. So, Miss Furina, would you dare to touch some of the seawater? If we are to believe that you are indeed the real Hydro Archon, touching the seawater would have no effect on you. All it should do is strengthen your case. But if you don't dare to touch it, then we would have basically proved the reverse. Oh, and I must remind you that after the disaster at Poisson, nobody wants to see any more people dissolve. I do hope you'll act prudently and choose the simpler path of admitting guilt.
Navia from the Spina di Rasula. The Spina has governed Poisson for many years. I guess her suggestion is valid.
If Lady Furina is indeed just a human, she's probably Fontainian like all the rest of us. Would she really dare to try?
Lady Furina, this test has been unilaterally proposed by the prosecution. As it falls outside the realm of standard court proceedings, you possess the right to decline participation.
Well, of course he had to tell her that. But refusing to participate is basically the—
She's just staring at the water without saying a single word.
What's going on? Is she really...
Due to the inherent risk of the test, Lady Furina, you may...
Hey!
I'm fine! Look at me, everyone! Will you believe me now? I really am your Archon! I'm nothing—
Miss Siegeween? If you're present, Miss Siegeween, please come forward and attend to the defendant.
Siegeween? Don't be nervous. It'll just take a few seconds. That should be enough.
Please announce the results of your evaluation.
As everyone doubtlessly saw, Miss Furina was displaying symptoms of hyperventilation and flushed. She was experiencing the adverse effects of exposure to primordial sea.
Thank you, Miss Siegeween. Lady Furina, you may
Oh, wait. What did she just say? I didn't get dissolved. Shouldn't that be enough to prove my—
Well, considering your tendency to run from your problems, we did originally prepare a direct sample of— However, after extensive discussion, we exchanged it for a sample that is not concentrated enough to dissolve an actual human. After all, on the off chance that something entirely unexpected might occur, we don't want anyone else to lose their life to the sea.
Yeah, so out of regard for Furina's life, you secured a low-concentration sample and asked the head nurse to serve as an expert witness. It's a great thing that the direct sample wasn't actually used. Furina could have...
I can't believe... You... Listen to me, everyone. Please don't give me such cold and disdainful looks. What happened just now didn't prove a single thing. Think about it. How can you conclusively prove that an Archon can't also be affected by the primordial seawater? Also, if I was really just a human, why would I dare to just put my hand in that kind of water? Please, everyone, anyone, just listen to me. I swear, I really am your Archon.
I don't think anything she says at this point will sway anyone. The odds are just too stacked against her now.
With all the things that have been said, Paimon doesn't think there's any way left for Furina to win.
I believe the time for arguments and presentation of evidence has come to an end. If there are no objections, we will move on to the final judgment.
I don't think anything she says at this point will sway anyone. She's too stacked against her now.
In my capacity as Chief Justice, I shall now render judgment on Furina's misrepresentation of herself as the Archon of Fontaine. As a human who knowingly deceived her fellow citizens, Furina is guilty. We shall now turn to the Oratrice Mécanique d'Analyse Cardinal to render the final verdict on the charges. According to the judgment of the Oratrice Mécanique d'Analyse Cardinal, Furina is...
Well, what's wrong? What's the Oratrice's...
No, the Oratrice also displays a guilty verdict.
Isn't that correct, then?
However, the exact wording of the verdict is thus: the Hydro Archon, guilty, to be punished via the death sentence.
The death sentence?
That's actually one of the available sentences?
The one and only time the death sentence has been handed out at the court, and it's been given to the very person...
Furina's been sentenced to death by the Oratrice? We just wanted to use the trial to show her the seriousness of things so she...
This outcome is indeed quite strange. According to Fontaine's current definitions of... Is this sentence really appropriate for the crimes that have been committed?
Yeah! Even Fauché wasn't sentenced to death by the Oratrice. You know, the real evil mastermind behind the serial disappearance.
Indeed. Not only is Furina's sentence overly excessive, the very point of our trial today was also to prove that Furina has never been the Hydro... But now, the Oratrice seems to have deliberately invoked the title of the Hydro Archon. What does this mean?
Excuse me, if I may interrupt. Is the trial still...
Fremine! Huh, you finally made it. I assume this means you've completed your mission?
Mm-hmm. Any mission Father assigns to...
Is that the first prophecy slate? Huh. So the knave privately arranged for Fremine to try...
I looked everywhere and finally found it at the bottom of the sea. It took me a long time to get around some dangerous stretches of... But has the trial already concluded? Then...
Thank you for your hard work, Mr. Fremine. Please allow me to review the record left on the slate. Traveler, I believe that you have already seen the other existing slates. We'd like you to come here and confirm their contents.
Huh? So what do you see? What is it?
I believe I've now made sense of the Hydro Archon's crime. It has to do with...
Huh? Isn't the Hydro Archon just guilty of deceiving her people? Oh, wait, no, that's Furina. So when you say Hydro Archon, do you...
In truth, everything that you've encountered in Fontaine up until this point can be traced back to the contents of these stone slates. However, I'm uncertain as to how much sense...
Okay, let's try to recall the contents of the other three... The first stone slate describes what you just said. It seems... Does that mean that Fontainians are tricked? The second stone slate shows Celestia floating in the sky, and the Hydro Archon and her people worshipping it together. This must be the point when the Hydro Archon and the Fontainians were branded with their origin. The third slate shows the Well, the fourth slate is the... We didn't believe that such a...
We know from the... This might be the reason that Fontainians can... Perhaps what is about to take place has all the true sin of the Hydro Archon that Nervalet and the original sin cast down on the people of Fontaine by Celestia. It's not as simple as falling into the sea. When Navia fell into the sea, her consciousness was the stone slates show the people gathered around the Hydro Archon. The prophecy from the stone slates found its way into society. The fortress of Meropide was nearly flooded with primordial seawater, which we know can cause Fontainians to dissolve. If we hadn't dealt with it in time, things could have gone very badly.
They'll dissolve into the primordial sea but won't cease to exist. Their essence will flow in the... The Hydro Archon was sentenced to death in court, shocking everyone present. Navia fell into the water inside those ruins, and she nearly dissolved. She was surrounded by the people of Poisson in a court within her consciousness. And was... The eruption of the primordial sea at the fortress of Meropide was the surest sign that the prophecy was about to... The stone slate's contents can all be verified by recent events. If we combine what we know together, Huh? Oh, Paimon gets it now! So that's how you can make sense of it. But then it feels like we're going to have to share some truth.
Let's hear them.
Incredible.
We're...
All Fontainians were the evidence for that. Oh, in accordance to...
Indeed.
Yeah, and it follows from the content of the first slate. That could also...
The Hydro Archon...
And yet, after many hundreds of years...
Yeah, so wouldn't it be trying to show that in the end, did Paimon get all that right?
You've made some keen deductions. I must... However, while you were able to decode all the information on the slates, they've also... When we were at the ruins, I tried to decipher the hidden information record... Now that the slate collection is complete, I shall make another attempt to...
Well?
I believe I should share this truth not only with you, but with all the people of Fontaine as well. Your hypotheses regarding the origin of Fontainians and the sin of the... In the Fontaine of old, the previous Hydro Archon sensed the yearning of her Oceanid familiars for life on land. The Oceanids were enamored with the beauty and romanticism of human beings, and wishing to have those experiences for themselves, expressed to the Hydro Archon their desire to become of a similar kind. However, even though water as an element is intricately linked with the power of life, the Hydro Archon, as one of the seven, did not possess the authority to create a new form of human life. Not one to give in, she eventually found a way to create permanent humanoid bodies for her familiars by appropriating the power of this planet's primordial sea. She poured primordial seawater into the Oceanids' blood vessels, creating humanoid mimics in the process. But if Fontainians were to ever come into direct contact with water from the primordial sea, the power within their bodies would escape these artificial restraints and return to the sea. As a result, their forms would collapse, and they would be reverted to their original forms as Oceanids. Of course, the Hydro Archon never received permission from the heavenly principles to create a new human race. And thus, the Hydro Archon and all of her creations came to shoulder the original sin of appropriating the power of the primordial sea. That is the true history of how the people of Fontaine first came into being.
So we were all Oceanids before we turned into human beings?
That's way too much information for me. I think I'm just going to pretend that I never heard a single thing. Wait, but if that's the truth, we can't let the Hydro Archon be sentenced to death. After all, her only sin was creating us.
This really might be too much information for your regular Fontainian, but it does answer a lot of our questions.
Alas, your hypothesis regarding the third and fourth stone slates was inaccurate. The slates' respective positions are, in fact, correct. A key point of the visual on the third slate is how all the individuals depicted in the water are humans rather than Oceanids. They have not been dissolved, which implies that the water depicted in this slate is not water from the primordial sea. The nation of Fontaine is the nation of Hydro, as well as the nation of trials and justice. Instead of being the literal element, the water in the scene symbolizes judgment and justice. You may also recall Navia's experience. When she fell into the sea, her consciousness was surrounded by that of many others who intended to hold a trial to determine her fate. Therefore, the meaning of the third slate is that the people of Fontaine shall try the Hydro Archon at the court of justice. Yes, it refers.
I think I'm following now. So, what you're saying, in truth, everything we've done has happened.
What should we do?
Huh. No matter what, the prophecy will be.
If that's the case, does that mean the scene in the fourth slate?
Traveler, I would like to point out another small about the fourth slate. You probably thought that the eruption of primordial. However, I believe that rather than being a sure sign, that is, as for the root cause of the catastrophe. This eruption was just a small warning of the things to come. We must find the root cause of the disaster.
It was both dream.
If we're talking about a true culprit that could
The truth, the original sin, the trial, and
that was way too close! How did that thing just burst into the Opera House? Wait, was that the huge whale you saw in your dream?
So we've met it at last. I understand very well why it is chosen. That whale does not belong to Tevat. It is a monster. It has been greedily consuming the energy from the planet's primordial sea. using it to grow. That is the... And once it has finished consuming all of the...
You said that when the Hydro Archon first created Fontainians out of Oceanids...
Precisely. That whale finds the blood. Therefore, when it left the Primordial Sea, it decided to make its next stop a pact...
We just barely managed to push it back, right? In that case...
That is correct. Indeed, it is more... From the way he looked, he must have been fighting the...
That battle maniac. We've always known that he had a special connection. Anyway, now that we know that this...
It is too late. It had already absorbed too much of the Primordial Sea's energy before we could notice it. Even if the entirety of Tevat were to be destroyed, it could still survive.
We've already done everything we can, and we've come so far.
Indeed. That's not how...
I'll fight it to the end. No matter what.
So the prophecy will be fulfilled no matter what, huh?
The prophecy. Yes. Just as prophecies ultimately
What's happening with the oratories?
I believe it is preparing to carry out the death sentence.
Furina! No, I still need answers.
You...
Sorry. That shocked expression on your face is just too amusing.
You are not Furina. Who are you?
The sweet sound of bewilderment. Marvelous. A sure sign that my attempt to deceive everyone was a resounding success. But to answer your question, I am Focalors. You know, the god.
Focalors? Why did you deceive us?
Oh, that wasn't my goal, of course. Goodness, no. But I had to fool everyone else too. The heavenly principles.
Deceiving the heavenly principles?
It's all because of that pernicious prophecy. Dreadful, wasn't it? Everyone doomed to dissolve. Fontaine condemned to be flooded. One was not amused. In fact, one was positively bemused when that problem was thrust upon me by my dearest predecessor. She knew full well that the prophecy would end as one of the seven. She also knew full well that one defies the heavenly... So yes, as you have no doubt surmised, it was a rather impossible situation that I spent a terribly long time mulling it over, alone on the ocean floor. And I was almost growing barnacles by the time I finally realized I had to outwit the heavenly principles. Allow the prophecy... I'm a genius, I know. I can only assume that's why Egeria chose me as her successor. Although, looking back now, It was hardly the inheritance one dreams of. Between the task of saving the nation, the quotidian duties of the Hydro Archon, and not to mention the... But one can only play the hand one is dealt. I did not choose this, any more than I chose to be one of her Oceanid familiars.
So you were also once one of the Oceanids, transformed into a human by Egeria's hand?
Yes, I was. I always dreamed of becoming human. And I still do, even now. In my eyes, to be human is to be part of the greatest opera ever known. After becoming a god, I separated my divinity from my body and spirit, leaving behind only a self that was as naive and bewildered as my past self on her first day as a human. The me you see before you now is that divinity. And the human counterpart I left behind, I named Furina. She could feel joy, sorrow, and everything in between. She could be as vain and conceited. Her strengths were of a kind only a human could possess. But in my eyes, Furina's humanity was what made her perfect. She was perfectly human in every way. The person I always... Anyway, so then I cursed her. All part of the plan, of course. The plan to deceive the heavenly principles. Do you still remember the final scene of the prophecy? The Hydra Archon, alone, weeping on her throne. In order that the prophecy might appear fulfilled, I invited Furina to be an actress, to play under the curse I placed on her. So long as I, Focalors' divinity, continued to exist, she could not die. But nor was she free to live her life in the pursuit of happiness. Instead, she was forced to take the stage in the opera house, to embrace the role of leading lady, to forever play the part of the god from the... I suppose now you probably understand why your court is called the Opera Epiclese.
But Furina is only human. Even though she has had a long life, her mind is no stronger than... I cannot begin to fathom.
It has indeed. And although she is, in a sense, me in human form, it's been 500 and all along, she's been playing her part in the most unimaginably long, unbearably lonely, and...
Oh, who permitted you to come onto the stage? Now, I understand you're... All right. It is not my intent to reprimand you. There is no need to state your name. Oh, do not jest. I am Focalor. The eyes of countless Fontainians are upon me. Dear audience, the performance is experiencing a technical difficulty, but worry not. The guards shall resolve it soon. Go! Hey, what gives? The audience is still watching me, you know. Guards? Wait, where are the guards? Guards!
Door
about to get dicey. Furina.
Huh? Who's that? Who's calling me?
Be not nervous. Be not afraid. I am
Wait a moment. You're mirror me? How can this be?
Mirror you, huh?
Mirror me. What do you...
The prophecy.
What prophecy? Wait. The people will all be dissolved into the waters. And only...
Oh. There...
What's going on? I can't seem to remember...
Yes, it will. And that is why I've come to you. Disaster...
But doesn't that mean everyone will die? I'm a Fontainian just like that.
Oh, don't worry. Magical meetings exist in this world I will tell you how to save everyone, but you may have to suffer.
Oh, so there's still hope after all. As for the suffering, well, I will admit, but if the prophecy will come true, I'll also die anyway, right? If there were scales, with all the people of Fontaine on one side.
You truly are the perfect human. My ideal. I suppose this would also be the justice that belongs to you.
Huh?
Don't worry, it's nothing. Listen well. Fontaine has just lost its Hydro Archon. I need you to
play as...
That's right. You must begin if you can keep it up, then I shall have my way of defying this prophecy.
But how will I do this?
Don't worry. What you must do is not to turn being a human yourself. I'm sure you already know. Remember, your true challenge will not be pursuing divinity.
I'm still not sure So, how long am I going
to accomplish this mission? But I promise you...
A trial, huh? The maze, what should I say? Ladies, I'm sure you've all heard about how I have taken up. In truth, I know little about as the god Focalors, the god of... Once again, thank you all for coming. I thought I might...
That's the new Hydro Archon. Is this some kind of joke by the Maison? I would have thought that a being that surpasses humanity...
Hey, did you hear that? She even told us to send her suggestions.
Shouldn't gods be all-powerful? She's being so modest. What's the difference between her...
If
if you ask me. Perhaps the succession didn't actually happen. She might just be a maison back.
Wait, what's going on? Why is everyone suspecting me of being a fake? Right. Mirmi said that I just need to play the role of a god as humans imagine them to be. Calm down, Furina. Think. What do the people want? How would they imagine a god to speak and act? Assertive, with a strong sense of presence. One who can dispel all doubt. That is the character I'm fated to play. Oh, very good, my people. Oh, now, I was wondering if some weak puppet were to one day come onto the stage and claim, oh, well, it seems that you may consider my previous act a door gift. Now then, let's...
Ah, so that was just a performance. How could I have forgotten that we were inside?
Personality? It's quite shocking, to be honest, but I suppose it's a better look than before.
Such a fascinating and bold deity. How wonderful! Our future may yet be bright after all.
It seems I've turned them around. Best follow this flow and restart my accession speech. My dear people, whether you acknowledge me or not, whether you trust me or nay, I say to you, keep faith in your ardor for justice. We have heard it said that this nation's sins can no longer be washed away. Well, I say that justice is most fragrant when it blooms amid sin. No, this won't work. They'll suspect me again. I must play the role that they want me to play. The scales of justice should not weigh heavy in the hands of its god. On one side, it must carry fairness and justice. And on the other, praise and applause. May law be the prayer on our lips. May judgment be our worship. Let us light the fires and drink to the future of Fontaine. There is no trouble in this world that justice cannot solve. All that is needed is for you, my people, to believe in it, heart and soul. So long as I, the Archon Focalors, stand within the Opera Epiclese, so long as I stand before the Oratrice, I shall even judge the gods of this world!
Lady Furina, here are today's case reports, as well as a summary of the follow-up for your perusal.
Come now. Was I not just at the Opera House in person? Leave these kinds of things to Narval. Besides, none of these trials were the one that I'm looking forward to the most.
If I may be so impertinent, what kind of trial are you truly looking forward to?
A magnificent, dramatic, and wondrous trial. A trial to end all things. How could you hope to understand?
That's true. I fear I lack the ability to grasp your divine thought, Lady Archon.
No need for fright, and do not take what I said before too seriously. Go now, do your duties. The trial I await. It will come one day.
Lady Furina, I don't know what to say. Thank you for agreeing to see me.
No need to thank me. Rather, thank your own sense of perseverance instead. Long have you stood in line to meet me, have you not? Oh, I'm afraid that's just an inevitable consequence of my divine charm. All right, Deoteria, is it? How is your son's illness?
You remembered me, and you knew of my family, too. He is doing much better now. In fact, he is far more of an ardent believer than I. He was the one who forced me to seek an audience with you, and to bring your words back to him.
Oh, good. Very good. If this should happen again in the future, please do not hesitate to come and tell me. Going down to citizens' homes every so often, while not usual practice, should serve as a fine change of pace.
You're such a gentle and wise god. Thank you once again, on behalf of my son.
Lady Furina, here are the latest hydrological reports. As for the specific parameters you asked to take note of, I'm afraid things still don't look good.
I see. It's as I thought, then. As your god, I did already expect this, but I wanted to see how far your human wisdom would allow you to analyze it. All manner of signs indicate that the prophecy will still come to pass. Forget it. That's not something you need to worry about right now.
Well, as I understand it, the Fontaine Research Institute is also trying to find a way to counter the rising water levels.
Really? Have they found anything?
I'm afraid that they haven't found any effective solution thus far.
Oh, is that so? Well, no wonder. This issue has reached the realm of the gods, after all. Still, their spirit is praiseworthy. The day is finally over. I haven't had a moment to breathe this whole time. But it's good to see that everything's getting on track. There are no longer any voices of suspicion. Maybe this is fine. I just need to keep going, and everyone will be saved. All right, Furina, don't think too hard about this. You need rest. Tomorrow's a new day.
Lady Furina, here are the new trial reports for the latest cases, as well as a summary of the follow-up.
There'll be no need for that. I've seen them already. There's no need to go back over scenes I've witnessed in person before.
Lady Furina, I've waited so...
Indeed, my dear.
Lady Furina, we're detecting significant...
Understood. I feel utterly
Furina. I've heard that the
What is it, good citizen?
Are you crying?
Uh-huh. Oh, really now? I didn't even notice. This must be the overflow of hydro from my person. Well, can't quite help being the god whose dominion is the woman.
No wonder. No wonder. A manifestation of your power, then. Oh, Archon, I am honored to have witnessed it. Honored indeed.
So, in hundreds, I never imagined, have I? I want to tell someone. I've conducted. All I can do is keep heart.
Furina, you don't. Although I don't know what you might be keep.
Share my that's impossible. It was fated right from the start.
But even if your burden doesn't need to be shared, you can still choose to confide in someone. Just share it with me. I'm what you'd call a witness.
A witness? Yes, I've heard that you came to Tevat from beyond the stars, yes. In other words, you never belonged here. And if Tevat is, in its entirety, a show on a stage, then you're just a spectator, aren't you? If that's the case... She's right. I could confide in her, couldn't I? But if things don't play out... No, Furina. But what if, Furina, you've worked... Is it such an outrageous thing if you let this opportunity slip through? Think about it. Long and hard. No. All you need to do, dear spectator, is to
Fine.
So even Furina doesn't know the truth?
Yes, it had to be done. She did very well. If she had let her resolve falter, it seems that trusting humanity...
I believe that I understand how you're how would you build...
Ah, good, good. Of course, the Udex of Fontaine has pinpointed the... I'm sure you've long sensed that the Oratrice is no simple machine, yes?
I've always suspected that it had its own consciousness. And Lenny did mention that he heard a human voice within. It now seems that that person was you.
And then I became one with the Oratrice, taking Fontaine's gnosis with me. Yes, it would seem. Alas, your understanding of this device. In truth, it is no enactor of justice. It is, Oh, you have it. And to be more precise, I mean, did you think my work over these last 500 years has... But really, some have already discovered that only a small fraction of the energy generated by the vast majority had to be accumulated.
It was all part of your plan then?
Indeed. This power, accrued over 5 centuries, could have sustained Fontainians for millennia, but only power of this magnitude could hope to destroy the Hydro Archon's divine throne, shaking the rules established by Celestia.
So the Oratrice's call for death was for the destruction of that divine throne. If I do not misunderstand...
Returning what's rightfully yours. In other words, this was all done to return the authority of the Hydro Archon to the Hydro Dragon of this planet. Oh, what? Getting sad again, are we? The authority of the ancient dragons shall soon be yours once more.
All you've done throughout the years is just so you can sacrifice yourself at the very...
I've never quite seen it that way, you know. Even now, I'm quite pleased at how well my descent... Hydro Dragon, don't cry. I must say, had it been within my rights, I would have loved to judge that Egeria stole the power of the primordial sea, and the heavenly principle stole the power I, for my part, am the god of justice. And is it not just that, speaking of justice, I have always believed that justice lies in the So, if the theft of the primordial sea's might was, then, leaving matters of procedural right and wrong aside, the descent of the Fontainians as humans and their right to exist in this world. In other words, existence was Egeria's justice. And to me, justice is the defying the prophecy and ensuring that Fontaine's people At this point, we, whether it be myself, Judex Nervilette, the highest judge in our land.
So when I was invited to the court of Fontaine to serve as Judex, at last, in the beginning, I was uninterested in human existence. But these 5 centuries of living alongside them have gradually brought about mutual understanding. You are a devious one, for some things being as they are. Surely you know that I could never declare them to be guilty.
The hour of my execution is almost here. For the sinner, the curtain call has come. I know I may not sound it, but faced with death, I find myself a little afraid. Perhaps this is one thing both gods and humans have in common. Farewell, Nervilette. I hope you've enjoyed the part you played these 500 years.
I, Judex Nervilette, hereby declare, people of Fontaine, your sins are forgiven.
wanna come?
What just happened?
Was that bright light some sort of misdirection?
But since we're all still alive...
It's time to end this. We must meet out...
Didn't you say just a moment?
I have gained the strength sufficient to deal with it. Through certain means, we should seize the opportunity to pursue our quarry. Traveler, now that the oratories can no longer function, I require an executor to help the root of the calamities befalling Fontaine, the beast that enacts the prophecy. Its name, come with me, traveler. The hour of execution has come. Done my best to separate the power of the primordial sea from the wave. Considering the size of the beast, I cannot reach the power source. Unless we can find a way to attack it from within. I shall share a part of the ancient dragon's power with you. We shall look for an opening together. I can feel its sorrow turning into hostility.
Gather!
Gotcha. See?
Stabilize!
Game's up. Fun's over. Time to go!
The all-devouring Narval cannot resist its instinct to devour. Continue to trigger its hostility. Chance will present itself.
Solidified!
I have granted you my protection. Do not fear. Seize the moment and use my power to suppress its root from within.
Into the wind. Clouds high. The birds call. One with nature.
Gather!
Quietly now. Here comes the catch.
Thanks for helping with the cleanup. It should have been my job. It was just supposed to be a short private training session for me. Well, actually, I had a feeling that it would happen.
That power.
Paimon has an idea. It's just that he gave us the impression that she was, less...
I simply did not have anything to say to the weak. But so you may speak to me as equals. I have to agree, that kind of power. All in all,
Miss Skirk?
the point.
Well, being that this... So what sort of person is your
Oh, right. His name is Sir Taloji.
Huh?
I am unfamiliar.
Huh. So Master is insufficiently famous. How?
The foul?
Still nothing?
Ooh, that one we've heard.
Oh. But I suppose you understand now, yeah?
Wait, didn't you also mention?
Actually, never mind that. That the all-devouring Narval used up such roiling hydro energy as such. The Fontaine back on, in other words.
What?
Not to worry. Focalors had...
In the end, the people will all be dissolved into the waters, and only Furina will remain, weeping on her throne. Only then will the sins of the people of Fontaine be washed away.
Hey! Help! Over here!
All hands, initiate emergency rescue! Hurry! Hey, lend a hand! Look! The water's receding!
It's a miracle!
Water's receding.
We didn't dissolve. The prophecy was wrong! The prophecy was wrong!
Are you alright?
Yeah.
We're saved.
The prophecy was wrong.
The Solo renewed. The Furina Diversilla attacks post-disaster rebuilding. Old soil can still give birth to new bloom, Miss Navia stated. Hope Skyship Winglet, Booner Brain of the Fontaine Research Institute. The various disputes that have arisen on a... People always call the first researcher mad, but few know what to call... Wow! Paimon barely recognizes the people in the reports. Are those really...
What do you think? Pretty enthralling, huh? The Steambird's idea, the value for these big scoops lies in their inevitable follow-ups. Edwin's assistant, Jurier, created a true flying ship.
Paimon's curious too!
And that's exactly why...
Are you sure?
Oh, this time will be different.
fast track. Thank you for
Time to go.
Navia! Oh, it's you.
Hey, we're just having a—
I'm here to update myself on how things are going. Let me introduce you. This is Mr. Garun Snežer. Our residents are hard at work as well.
Hello, Miss Charlotte. I'm a big fan of yours, but if you don't mind,
I get where you're coming from.
that would be fine.
Oh, you're back too. How are things?
We finished laying down the construction materials.
Huh?
Well, her reputation's greatly risen after that whole duel business with Miss Furina. So
There's too much to consider in the reconstruction of Poisson. The Spina has need of more decision makers.
Oh, wait just a moment. Do you mind me asking a few questions? You know, about how you felt before—
Forget it. I'm sure you can find a better theme than that.
I see you're the same as always. Couldn't you do me a favor? Well, if we're talking about doing things for my sake, you might as well just take— Of course I will. I'm not gonna let her off that easy. All right, then everyone who wants—
How did it go? Was it a good shot?
Not bad. Your addition really helped the composition of the picture. All right, hang on a moment. Let me snap a few more shots. All right, that should do it. I'll be back here later anyway, so let's call it a day.
You're very quick.
Speed is of the— Also not to— Wow.
I'll hazard a guess that this is how you got that interview.
Whoa, you're well informed.
That's a...
In truth, I told him that it—
You're right. Stay safe now. And tell—
Wow, guess we're here again, huh? There's a real nostalgia.
Looks like you've been missing us.
Duke! Did you—
Of course.
It's an honor to find—
No need to thank me.
Of course, of—
All right then, this way. It would seem that Miss Lorvine doesn't want—
Sir, please.
But it look—
No,
Now, I might not look it, but I actually— The boat that brought it— Still, if I'm—
I have to apologize, but that ship is present—
Really?
You already know my answer, I'm afraid. Best you interview our head nurse instead. Or
Did you really have to use the word— Well then,
Is my hair messed up?
Things sure are getting pretty lively here. Oh, seems like everyone's here. Would any of you like to—
Hey, Miss Charlotte. Sure.
Sure. Do I have to smile? So, how have things been—
Same old, same old.
Other than that flying ship.
That's why I decided to—
You're too kind, sir.
I see.
He sure did—
I'll tell them that they're—
Oh.
What change can there be? As to what Miss Furina's departure will mean for the nation, and if our laws and governance will be transformed, we'll leave—
Hey everyone, the photo shoot's done.
Good. In that case, let's call it a day.
Thanks for your cooperation. Come on, traveler, let's go.
There'll be an—
Maybe? Who knows? All right, last stop, the docks.
Paimon sees them! They really are here! How did you know?
Navia mentioned that she stayed in touch with Linny and the others after working together. Apparently, they've been at the docks distributing these strange pockets the whole time since.
Traveler, Paimon. Ah, and Miss Charlotte, too.
Would you like a magic pocket?
What sort of gadget is it?
It's a wondrous bag that can be used to carry many things. The water level has returned to normal.
Trick a friend.
You could just make a friend like Fremine here. Isn't that right, Fremine?
To be honest, that sounds pretty sweet. Could I...
Lynette sure is working hard to help Fremine so...
He was the one who proposed doing this. He even wants to assist...
Yes, I was planning to first introduce Pear.
That said, would anyone want to see a diver escape underwater?
Oh, it'll work out.
Lynette, could you come...
Got it.
My, that Charlotte is rather perceptive. She got... Father says that you did a...
that's a...
Oh, after Lady Furina...
A diplomatic gift? A gnosis?
Yes, I was quite surprised at first myself. But when I thought it over, it could have been done as an apology for the incident with Lord Chai. Furthermore, Father did also lend...
Well, that's true, but this is a gnosis...
I would agree, but I've also heard that...
So there's some reason for...
I suspect you'll have to ask him about that yourself. Ah, yes.
Isn't he real busy and stuff? But back to the topic. The gnosis was given to the knave, right?
They say that he's returned to Snezhnaya to recover from his wounds. I hear that the...
That's true. When you think about it, we've had loads of run-ins with the...
So shocked by such a simple switching of sides?
Father!
Well, what do you know? Come to the docks to see how my children are doing and meet the traveler.
Are you going to take the gnosis?
That is our duty, as don't be too preoccupied with sides. The goal of the Fatui concerns not a single place or person. Switching my masks is something well, that depends on many things. No one truly knows what the future holds. As for you, I very much look forward to our next collaboration. Good things cannot be achieved alone, and you've proved yourselves to be great partners. A vision?
And that's a wrap for me. Huh?
Greetings, Miss Journalist. That is correct. So forgive me, but I will not be able to serve as a subject in your article. However, feel free to write as much as you'd like. The sea breeze is quite pleasant.
Farewell, Father.
Oh, she has such an intimidating presence. I didn't even dare to take a picture. Thankfully, I've already wrapped up all my pre-scheduled...
Don't be too nervous. Why don't you take a magic pocket before you go? Here, Traveler, Paimon.
To move things about?
That's right. I guess this must be all right, then.
Well, guess we sent Charlotte off. Shall we go see how Narval's doing? As long as he... The entrance to the fortress! Ooh, he really is there! So, you really are here, Narval. Paimon didn't think you were going to have...
Really? Oh, I suppose you... In any case, you came at a good time.
Alright, let's... Whoa. So that's what happened? Focalors destroyed the divine... But Paimon still doesn't quite get what you did.
For me, the Fontainians were... But so long as those... In other words, when I...
Focalors must have counted on you to make that decision as well. Your verdict was the key to making... Yeah, and in a...
It seems from your expressions that you still have more things you wish. Ask away. I will tell you the truth as I know it.
Oh, that's right!
Leaving aside their intentionality, the two Fatui Harbingers have indeed done much for us during their sole remaining goal in Fontaine. At least at this point, the Oratrice has ceased to function. The Hydro Archon's divine throne is now no more, and as such it has lost all. If the Fatui have impure designs, then we might as well accede to their request now.
What complicated considerations? Paimon thought you were just giving it to them.
Ask away. I will tell you the truth as I know it.
Hey, when we spoke to Linny earlier, he mentioned that your attitude towards... We guessed that there might be some reason...
No wonder the House of the Hearth is the Fatui's intelligence division. So regarding this specific issue, I was just... In truth, I exchanged some further words with that lady named Skirk after sending you two back to the surface. It went something like this.
Well, we're going to head topside to see...
What next?
The all-devouring Narwhal isn't here. I can finally catch this. It is the authority of the planet's primordial dragons. But with something very similar. I'm sure I've encountered something like this before.
I do not know what...
You should have the...
Remains?
Huh.
Well, that much is true, but I fear I have never...
I've been training with... It is only natural for the... Regardless, to live in itself is a...
What do you mean?
No need to...
This third
Master, if you're interested, though...
Next time, you believe...
I do.
That's what she told me. Whether...
The remains of... So that's what the Gnosis actually are.
All the same, assuming that there was no misunderstanding...
And she said that it would bring misfortune and that...
If she speaks the truth? I guess that you might already... That means that the Gnosis... I wonder...
Like being a... No, let's not comparing the Traveler to the dead Third Descender and all. That's what you say, but...
I too believe it unwise to make too many blind
Alright, whatever.
Yes. All of Focalors...
But she sacrificed herself in the end as a god.
I suppose that would be the mystery of a god's wish. I suspect not. But once in a while, I too would guess that if life flowed... And what old...